This is the Infinite Moment Podcast, where we discuss topics that focus on stress relief solutions. Welcome to another episode of the Infinite Moment Podcast. Today we'll be talking about how to use energy healing to reduce stress. So just to kind of get familiar with what energy healing is, this can include things such as yoga, Reiki, EFT, and many other modalities and practices that have to do with managing the energy within our bodies to help improve our health and reduce those stress levels. So in this episode, you may see that some of these arts are more subjective in the sense that you may need to actually try some of these things to understand if it will work for you. And when I say work for you, I just mean if it reduces the stress and overall makes your life more productive or happy or less stressful, whatever it may be. So whereas someone may say, oh, Reiki has been wonderful for me, someone else may feel like, well, it doesn't really work for me. So keep that in mind. Some of these things you may be more in line with, you may feel more in tune with than some of these others. So just take the things that work for you, leave the rest, and understand that it can be a subjective nature to some of these arts, some of these modalities. But I did feel it is important to speak on this as there's obviously a more hidden nature of how our bodies maintain a sense of health. And it goes beyond just the physical things such as the food we eat and the exercise and things like that. Some of it's more energetically based, where there may be certain parts of our bodies that need certain attention projected towards it in order to maintain or reduce some of the stressors that we feel within those areas of our bodies. All right, so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get straight into our first article for today. The first article here is from Very Well Mind. It is titled, What is Bioenergetic Therapy? Bioenergetic therapy explores how body, mind, and spirit are interconnected. The word bioenergetic has its roots in the Greek words for life, bios, and energy, energia. Bioenergetic therapists use movement, breathwork, touch, and dialogue to help their clients release physical tension that may be contributing to emotional and mental distress. Bioenergetic therapy is based on the theory that physical and emotional health are connected. When we're physically healthy, we're better able to cope with stress and emotions. Conversely, when we're emotionally healthy, our bodies are better able to function properly. The aim of bioenergetic therapy is to help clients release physical and emotional tension that may be causing problems. Bioenergetic therapy can be helpful for a variety of issues, including anxiety, depression, stress, anger management, and trauma. It can also be used to improve overall physical health. Bioenergetic analysis was developed by Alexander Lowen in the 1950s. Lowen was a student of Wilhelm Reich, a psychoanalyst who believed that physical ailments were rooted in unconscious psychic conflict. Lowen expanded on this idea to include the notion that chronic stress could also lead to mental health issues. Bioenergetic therapy techniques. Therapists practicing bioenergetic therapy will typically use a variety of techniques depending on their area of specialization and the client's specific needs. Some therapists may use body movement to express and release emotions, while others may encourage clients to express their feelings through words or art activities. The focus is on helping clients release internal tension and stress through body movement, breathing techniques, or other forms of expression. Bioenergetic therapy can help a person to move past habitual patterns of living and learn how to react differently in specific situations. This type of therapy is usually more active than traditional talk therapies, which gives clients time to reflect on what they are learning about themselves. Bioenergetic therapists encourage individuals to live fully in the present moment, engage in physical activity, and discover new ways of being in healthy relationships with other people. Below are some specific techniques your therapist may use during bioenergetic therapy. Grounding. This technique involves having clients engage in physical movement or exercises to help them feel rooted and present in the moment. This also may help to discharge excess energy and tension. Sensory awareness. This involves helping clients become more aware of their body sensations, including feelings, sounds, smells, and taste. This can help them to release tension and become more grounded. Movement. This technique involves releasing tension through movement. For example, your therapist may have you walk, run, or dance to express anger or frustration. Or you might kick or punch a pillow to release energy or pent-up emotions. Containing. This technique consists of having clients refrain from engaging in a movement in order to allow them to feel what's going on inside their bodies. For example, a client may be asked to avoid the urge to tap their foot or cross their arms. Supportive contact. This technique involves a therapist making supportive contact with the client to help them focus and feel grounded in the present. For example, when a therapist holds their hand close to or against a client's body when they are in an expressive movement, the therapist is applying supportive contact. What bioenergetic therapy can help with? Bioenergetic therapy can potentially be helpful for anyone who needs to release tension and stress related to painful or traumatic emotional experiences. However, it may be used for people with specific issues that involve the body and emotions, such as the following: chronic pain and other physical ailments, eating disorders, anxiety and depression, grief, chronic stress, post-traumatic stress, addictions including drug and alcohol abuse, OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder. A 2006 study of the effectiveness of body-focused psychotherapies in which bioenergetics is a type in outpatient settings showed that after 6 months of therapy, patients had significantly improved regarding their level of impairment and psychopathology. In addition, after the end of therapy, a maximum of 2 years, large effect sizes were observed for outcome measures. The study authors claim that the results support the effectiveness of body-focused psychotherapeutic methods. Okay, so a short article there that talks about how specifically bioenergetic therapy, which is energy healing, incorporates the healing of the body, mind, and spirit, as they're all connected and all have to do with our health. And the inverse relation between stress and emotions compared to our health. So energy healing is an all-encompassing kind of term. It can cover anything from using the body to move in a certain way or to release emotions through art and through touch as well. So include things like grounding, which is there to help you feel more connected to the present moment and to the reality of that moment. Sensory awareness. This is also another present moment kind of focus, but you're more so focusing on the senses, right? So sound, smell, taste, feelings, body sensations, things like that. Movement. This will come in more with like dance or basically anything you're doing to move the body to release energies will be considered a movement energy healing modality. So containing is one that has more to do with limiting a certain behavior to help open up the energy. So for example, if you're crossing your arms, to feel comfortable, actually open up your arms and release that energy. And the last one it listed was supportive contact, which has more to do with maybe speaking to someone that you trust or a therapist or something and having a close contact to where that energy can be exchanged and resolved. And then some of the ailments that I mentioned that energy healing can help with includes things such as chronic pain, eating disorders, anxiety, grief, chronic stress, post-traumatic stress, addictions, and OCD. So this is the type of healing that we're trying to focus on. How do these energy healing modalities lead to a reduction in the stress on our health? All right, so let's take a look at our next article. From the National Library of Medicine, we get exploring the therapeutic effects of yoga and its ability to increase quality of life. A 3,000-year-old tradition, yoga is now regarded in the Western world as a holistic approach to health and is classified by the National Institutes of Health as a form of complementary and alternative medicine. The word yoga comes from Sanskrit root yuj, which means union or yoke, to join, and to direct and concentrate one's attention. Regular practice of yoga promotes strength, endurance, flexibility, and facilitates characteristics of friendliness, compassion, and greater self-control. While cultivating a sense of calmness and well-being, sustained practice also leads to important outcomes such as changes in life perspective, self-awareness, and an improved sense of energy to live life fully with genuine enjoyment. The practice of yoga produces a physiological state opposite to that of the fight or flight stress response, and with that interruption in the stress response, a sense of balance and union between the mind and body can be achieved. Yoga is a form of mind-body fitness that involves a combination of muscular activity and an internally directed mindful focus on awareness of the self, the breath, and energy. Four basic principles underlie the teachings and practices of yoga's healing system. The first principle is the human body is a holistic entity comprised of various interrelated dimensions inseparable from one another, and the health or illness of any one dimension affects the other dimensions. The second principle is individuals and their needs are unique and therefore must be approached in a way that acknowledges this individuality, and the practice must be tailored accordingly. The third principle is yoga is self-empowering. The student is his or her own healer. Yoga engages the student in the healing process by playing an active role in their journey towards health. The healing comes from within instead of from an outside source, and a greater sense of autonomy is achieved. The fourth principle is that the quality and state of an individual's mind is crucial to healing. When the individual has a positive mind state, healing happens more quickly, whereas if the mind state is negative, healing may be prolonged. Yoga philosophy and practice were first described by Patanjali in the classic text Yoga Sutras, which is widely acknowledged as the authoritative text on yoga. Today, many people identify yoga only with asana, the physical practice of yoga, but asana is just one of the many tools used for healing the individual. Only 3 of the 196 sutras mention asana, and the remainder of the text discusses other components of yoga, including conscious breathing, meditation, lifestyle and diet changes, visualization, and the use of sound, among many others. In Yoga Sutras, Patanjali outlines an eightfold path to awareness and enlightenment called Ashtanga, which literally means 8 limbs. The 8 limbs are comprised of ethical principles for living a meaningful and purposeful life, serving as a prescription for moral and ethical conduct and self-discipline. They direct attention toward one's health while acknowledging the spiritual aspects of one's nature. Any of the 8 limbs may be used separately, but within yoga philosophy, the physical postures and breathing exercises prepare the mind and body for meditation and spiritual development. Based on Patanjali's 8 limbs, many different yogic disciplines have been developed. Each has its own technique for preventing and treating disease. In the Western world, the most common aspects of yoga practice are the physical postures and breathing practices of Hatha yoga and meditation. Hatha yoga enhances the capacity of the physical body through the use of a series of body postures, movements or asanas, and breathing techniques, pranayama. The breathing techniques of Hatha yoga focus on conscious prolongation of inhalation, breath retention, and exhalation. It is through the unification of the physical body, breath, and concentration while performing the postures and movements that blockages in the energy channels of the body are cleared, and the body energy system becomes more balanced. Although numerous styles of Hatha yoga exist, the majority of studies included in this manuscript utilize the Iyengar style of yoga. The Iyengar method of Hatha yoga is based on the teachings of yoga master BKS Iyengar. Iyengar yoga places an emphasis on standing poses to develop strength, stability, stamina, concentration, and body alignment. Props are used to facilitate learning and to adjust poses, and instruction is given on how to use yoga to ease various ailments and stressors. Yoga is recognized as a form of mind-body medicine that integrates an individual's physical, mental, and spiritual components to improve aspects of health, particularly stress-related illnesses. Evidence shows that stress contributes to the etiology of heart disease, cancer, and stroke, as well as other chronic conditions and diseases. Due to the fact that stress is implicated in numerous diseases, it is a priority to include a focus on stress management and reduction of negative emotional states in order to reduce the burden of disease. Viewed as a holistic stress management technique, yoga is a form of CAM that produces a physiological sequence of events in the body, reducing the stress response. The scientific study of yoga has increased substantially in recent years, and many clinical trials have been designed to assess its therapeutic effects and benefits. So that article broke down one of the more common energy healing modalities, which is yoga. It incorporates both physical movements of the body with breathing and consciousness, and it's directly correlated to the reduction of stress, according to this article. So it gave us some history about yoga, where it came from, how it's been developed over time, both in the Eastern and the Western world, and also how a lot of times yoga is missing a lot of the breathing and consciousness aspects and is focusing a lot on just the movements of the body. But let's keep in mind that the totality of what yoga is should be used if you're going to try and maximize the potential that it has for energy healing. So just wanted to mention that there's a lot that goes on with yoga. Sometimes people think it's not effective, and part of that could be because it's not being used effectively. It's a whole art and a practice that can be learned over many years, so it deserves a certain level of respect if you're going to try and use it to effectively reduce your stress levels. All right, let's move on to our next article. 5 types of energy healing to reduce stress. thesoulfrequency.com. Stress. The very word can raise our blood pressure and make us subconsciously stroke our furrowed brows. Stress is the very definition of pressure and strain, the people, situations, and forces that push against us or pull us apart. Thankfully, there are many natural ways to relieve the inevitable stresses that pop up on the daily. This rundown of energy healing modalities will help you figure out the best holistic route for your needs. So number 1 is Reiki energy healing. Cultivated by Japanese sensei Mikao Usui, this time-honored sacred practice involves the laying on of hands to heal and distribute energy. Reiki falls under the umbrella term energy healing due to its roots in vibrational medicine, which involves manipulating energy on a quantum level. It's essentially a non-invasive way to balance your emotional, mental, and physical aspects, which in turn helps to eliminate stress. Reiki is ideal for those who enjoy a relaxing light touch method. In fact, some Reiki techniques involve zero touching. Your practitioner may simply hover their hands above the body to work with the energy fields. The best part? You can practice Reiki on yourself. While it's always best to opt for a traditional in-person Reiki session with an attuned and experienced master, you can practice simple techniques like placing both palms on your face to blast away day-to-day stresses. Reiki and stress may end up in the same sentence often, as it is very helpful in shifting this tense energy. Reiki for emotional healing is also very beneficial. Next is acupuncture. It's not as scary as it looks. This Chinese medicine technique does involve needles, but not the type you typically find in your doctor's office. Acupuncture needles are thin and flexible and often don't go deeper than 0.25 to 0.5 inches. There may be some pain involved, not gonna lie, but a skilled practitioner knows how to avoid and lessen soreness. How it works. Needles are placed along meridians or energy pathways in the body with the intention of releasing blockages and treating specific organs. Needles may be left in from 15 minutes to 45, so it's safe to say that acupuncture is an intricate, delicate method that is best suited for a patient. You may be wondering how inserting needles all over your body is an energy healing method that helps relieve rather than induce stress. After all, becoming a human porcupine may not be your go-to method for finding inner peace. However, with regular application, acupuncture can help release endorphins into the body, lower cortisol levels, and encourage circulation to release toxins. Number 3, reflexology. Finally, a great excuse for foot massage. Reflexology is the energy healing method of pressing certain points of the hands and feet to treat various areas of the body. The idea is that each area of your soles and palms correspond to a different organ or area, so manipulating those areas may bring relief to the ailing systems. In general, the reflexological layout of the foot matches the layout of the body. The toes correspond with the head, the arch with the stomach, the heel with the lower back and bowels, etc. Stress relief can be achieved by massaging the areas that correspond to the common tension-filled parts of the body, the head, neck, and shoulders. Reflexologists also work with the four elements to balance energy. They may opt to tame excess fire to help lower stress and give the endocrine system a well-deserved break. An added bonus of reflexology is that the very act of massage is a stress reliever in and of itself. Of course, you can research and practice the techniques on yourself or sweet talk your partner into a vigorous foot massage. Chakra healing. Chakras are wheels of energy that run through the center plane of the body. Each of these power centers correspond to a different organ, emotion, and color. When a chakra is stagnant or closed, a variety of health issues can crop up. Energy healers typically cleanse and open the chakras, ensuring that the body is balanced on all levels. As far as stress goes, all chakras may be assessed to find the squeaky wheel. For example, although a large amount of stress originates in the mind, you may find that you're holding on to stress in the solar plexus area, the knees, or even the throat. The idea is to cleanse and balance each chakra, remove any stagnancies or blockages, and charge the body with energy. Once again, this is an energy healing modality that can be practiced from the comfort of your own home. Familiarize yourself with the chakra system. Then try placing your hands on the power centers to see what comes up. You can never go wrong with a gentle hand to the forehead for instant stress relief. And lastly is shamanic healing. Shamanic energy healing is arguably the most metaphysical, spiritual technique on our little list. This sacred practice has been around since the dawn of time. It is the basis for many New Age concepts. Shamanism essentially involves interacting with the higher realms in order to receive information and guidance. As not all of us are used to reaching higher states of consciousness, working with an experienced, trustworthy shaman is highly recommended for this practice. Information may come through dreams, visions, or animals during a shamanic session, and it's common for a shaman to use drums or rattles to achieve a trance-like state. If your goal is stress relief, you may receive visions or information regarding your power animals, deceased loved ones, spirit guides, and anyone else that's helping you in your quest for calm. Each experience varies, so be sure to approach this modality with an open mind and an open heart, welcoming the insights and synchronicities that come through the higher realms. Whichever energy healing method you decide to explore, the most important part is taking the first step. It is difficult to find your purpose when stress is at an all-time high. If stress is a factor in your life, it's time to heal that. The unknown can be scary, but the effects of stress can be even scarier. Simply do your research, ask others for their experiences, and dive in. Last article. This one's on EFT tapping and it's from healthline.com. What is EFT tapping? Emotional freedom technique, or EFT, is an alternative treatment for physical pain and emotional distress. It's also referred to as tapping or psychological acupressure. People who use this technique believe tapping the body can create a balance in your energy system and treat pain. According to its developer Gary Craig, a disruption in energy is the cause of all negative emotions and pain. Though still being researched, EFT tapping has been used to treat people with anxiety and people with post-traumatic stress disorder. So how does EFT tapping work? Similar to acupuncture, EFT focuses on the meridian points or energy hotspots to restore balance to your body's energy. It's believed that restoring this energy balance can relieve symptoms a negative experience or emotion may have caused. Based on Chinese medicine, meridian points are thought of as areas of the body energy flows through. These pathways help balance energy flow to maintain your health. Any imbalance can influence disease or sickness. Acupuncture uses needles to apply pressure to those energy points. EFT uses finger tapping to apply pressure. Proponents say that tapping helps you access your body's energy and send signals to the part of the brain that controls stress. They claim that stimulating the meridian points through EFT tapping can reduce the stress or negative emotion you feel from your issue, ultimately restoring balance to your disrupted energy. EFT tapping can be divided into 5 steps. If you have more than one issue or fear, you can repeat this sequence to address it and reduce or eliminate the intensity of your negative feeling. Number 1 is identifying the issue. In order for this technique to be effective, you must first identify the issue or fear you have. This would be your focal point while you're tapping. Focusing on only one problem at a time is purported to enhance your outcome. Next, test the initial intensity. After you identify your problem area, you need to set a benchmark level of intensity. The intensity level is rated on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst or most difficult. The scale assesses the emotional or physical pain and discomfort you feel from your focal issue. Establishing a benchmark helps you monitor your progress after performing a complete EFT sequence. If your initial intensity was 10 prior to tapping and ended at 5, you've accomplished a 50% improvement level. Now, the setup. Prior to tapping, you need to establish a phrase that explains what you're trying to address and must focus on 2 main goals: acknowledging the issues and accepting yourself despite the problem. The common setup phrase is, even though I have this fear or problem, I deeply and completely accept myself. You can alter this phrase so that it fits your problem, but it must not address someone else's. For example, you can't say, even though my mother is sick, I deeply and completely accept myself. You have to focus on how the problem makes you feel in order to relieve the distress it causes. It's better to address the situation by saying, even though I'm mad my mother is sick, I deeply and completely accept myself. 4. EFT tapping sequence. The EFT tapping sequence is the methodic tapping on the ends of 9 meridian points. There are 12 major meridians that mirror each side of the body and correspond to an internal organ. However, EFT mainly focuses on these 9. Side of the hand, also known as the karate chop. Top of head, or the governing vessel. Eyebrow, bladder meridian. Side of the eye, or the gallbladder meridian. Under the eye, stomach meridian. Under the nose, governing vessel. Chin, central vessel. Beginning of the collarbone, kidney meridian. Under the arm, spleen meridian. Begin by tapping the side of the hand while simultaneously reciting your setup phrase 3 times. Then tap each following point 7 times, moving down the body in this ascending order. Eyebrow, side of the eye, under the nose, chin, beginning of the collarbone, under the arm. After tapping the underarm point, finish the sequence at the top of the head point. While tapping the ascending points, recite a reminder phrase to maintain focus on your problem area. If your setup phrase is, even though I'm sad, my mother is sick, I deeply and completely accept myself, your reminder phrase can be, the sadness I feel that my mother is sick. Recite this phrase at each tapping point. Repeat this sequence 2 or 3 times. And lastly, test the final intensity. At the end of your sequence, rate your intensity level on a scale from 0 to 10. Compare your results with your initial intensity level. If you haven't reached 0, repeat this process until you do. Okay, so that was just a brief introduction into the art of energy healing and how to use it to reduce stress in your own life. We went over different modalities such as yoga, EFT, Reiki, acupuncture, etc. And that just begins to get into this art of healing. This is really fun because you can just try these things in your own life and see which ones actively reduce your personal stress. And that's probably the best way to find out if this is something that works for you or not. Literally just going for it. Maybe take a free yoga class. Sometimes you can find on Groupon like a coupon for potentially maybe even a free yoga class. You can try acupuncture or massages. Reiki. Some people do Reiki online, some people do it in person, but there's different ways to do it, but the energy can still come through regardless. So lots of modalities. It's a very interesting topic when it comes to trying to reduce stress through the use of the arts of energy healing. But I personally think there's a lot there that we just don't quite understand yet and hasn't been researched enough. And also just a lot of lost knowledge. I think there's probably a lot of knowledge of these arts from what we will consider ancient times, and I think either a lot of that has been lost or is just not widely shared to the majority of people nowadays. But there is a lot of options when it comes to wanting to try these out there. So just look in your local area for what's available for you. And like I said, you may be able to do some of these things with the assistance of people online who are also trained to, help you in this aspect of energy healing. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Infinite Moment podcast, and I'll catch you guys next time. Y'all take it easy.